This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome back to Live Talk with Dr. B. Hill. We have continued guests today, so if we have any other guests that join us today would like to ask questions, please use the chat room up in the right-hand corner. Dr. B, take it away.
Thank you so much, Chrissy. I appreciate you. Like always, you're always there for me and always backing me up and helping. We have Dr. Smith here, we have Travis, and we have Josh. So we are right back to our old family here, and we are ready to go. Hey, Dr. Smith.
Hello, Dr. B.
Hey,
Travis.
Travis.
Hey, Dr. B. Hey, Dr. Smith. How are you?
And I think that Josh, there's
Josh.
Josh. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Josh.
There.
Well, welcome, y'all. So what do
Glad.
we got on our agenda today? Some really good stuff, I think. So what's
Travis,
been
while
going
we're
on,
gone,
you guys? Hmm?
we in your absence, we volunteered Josh
Yeah.
to take your place in the what we call the seat of common sense. Okay, Josh got to play the role of common sense yesterday, and we went back in time and we presented some data from originally 1960 and then all the way back to 1938, and the role that Josh played was to put himself in the position of the FDA to look at the scientific evidence that we were looking at yesterday and then to make a decision, yes or no. Would it be advisable? Would it be okay? Would it be the right thing for the FDA to do? Looking at the science that we looked at, would it be the right thing for the FDA to do to broadly approve the opioids for mass consumption with no warnings whatsoever, which is ultimately what happened um, with the opioids. And it really was a to me at least, it was a dramatic moment. And um, it I I have been looking at this data for years, and I have had my own thoughts and feelings about this data. And my own thoughts and feelings were much along the lines of Josh's, I believe. I think on this regard, Josh and I are eye to eye. I find Josh to be an excellent yardstick for the group. Okay, Josh has that ability to perceive things in a gentle, understandable manner and relay that back to the team. So I found that I was right in line with what Josh said and how Josh felt. But Travis, I thought that today we could kind of go through the same process, and and as much as possible, we're going to let Josh lay out the science to you. I'm here as a resource. I'm here to help. But Travis, we're curious to see if you come to the same conclusion that Josh came to. And I think obviously what we're driving towards here is there anybody that would conclude otherwise? Josh's conclusion was that in no way, shape, or form should the FDA given widespread approval to the opioids based upon the science that was available in 1960 and even back to 1938. So, Chrissy, if you could please, let's do exactly what we did yesterday. Let's repeat step by step what we did. We'll do it now for Travis's purposes. And this is exactly what we did yesterday. Josh, you remember this graphic right here, right?
Yes. Yes, sir. I do, Dr. Doug.
All right. All right. And by the way, Josh, just so you know, after yesterday,
Hydroxytryptamine.
the show, the presentation, what happened here yesterday, it stayed in my mind for hours. Hours. I don't know if it stayed in your head.
It did. I thought about it all night last night. Yes.
It and it's hard to if somebody said why did that stick in your head strongly. I really couldn't give an answer. I really don't know because it was an emotional. It's hard to describe emotions,
Yes.
but But I thought about it a long, long, long time. And I tried to understand myself and my own feelings, which I'm not that great at. But
Me neither.
I kept coming back to the same word in my head over and over and over again, Josh. And that word was anger.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anger.
Absolutely.
Anger.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I tried to say, well, no, it's not anger. You know, I'm reacting to incompetence. No, no, it's an anger. It's you had a responsibility, and you
Correct.
said yesterday, and that's what I thought about. So hang on, Travis. We'll get to you in a second. But Josh really said it yesterday when he said these people had a responsibility. They had a professional responsibility. They were supposed to protect us. Okay.
Absolutely.
And they didn't. All right, so Travis, you're going to love this. Okay, Travis, you remember the blood work we did on you that day you came into the office?
Yes, yes, Dr. Smith, I do.
Now, the layperson would call that blood work the adrenalines, right?
Yes,
But in the medical community, we refer to that blood work as the catecholamines, right?
yes, catecholamines.
All right. Now, and Travis, you know as well as anybody here, when we drew your blood that day, that was the first time in the history of the world anybody had ever drawn catecholamine levels, adrenaline levels on humans who were sick because they stopped taking their opioids. You're aware that was the very first time, right?
Yes, yes, I was aware of that.
All right, Travis, can you see this graphic on the screen that we're showing right now?
Yes, I can, Dr. Smith.
What's the first word in the title?
Catecholamines. Are you talking about volume 58,
That's
supplemental 204?
no catecholamines. You hit the nail right on the
Okay,
head.
okay,
Now,
okay.
now, Travis, obviously this article is talking about catecholamines, right?
Yes, yes, Dr. Smith.
Take a minute, scan the article, and actually, it's actually not an article; it's a chapter of a book. Take a minute, scan the first page of the chapter of the book. What year was this? Can you see it?
1963, Stockholm.
All right, we're already running right smack dab into common sense again.
Yep. Yep.
Boy, it didn't take long before we got smacked in the face by common sense. Travis, if they were looking at catecholamines back in 1963 on rats that were dependent upon the opioids and the opioids were taken away and they got sick, if they were looking at catecholamines back in 1963, why did it take 60 years 60 years before we drew your blood work?
That's a question to be asked. I don't have an answer for that. It shouldn't have took 60 years. This should have been done 60 years ago. They should have did this before they ever put anything out into population. I mean, I've talked to you about this before, not this specific thing, but they should have did all these tests before they did anything. Allowed anybody to take this medication.
Josh, you heard what Travis just said. Is Travis talking nonsense or is Travis talking common sense?
That's common sense.
It's
That
common
is
sense.
very common sense.
I mean, Dr. B, it's hard to even react to how can we have a discussion about something that's so obvious? We might as well talk about daylight. Hey, look, it's bright. You can see things. How can you have a common sense how can you have a dialogue, a discussion, especially when we're trying to, we're trying to fill a 30-minute show here, Dr. B. How can we have a dialogue about something that is just common sense?
The better question is why they didn't. Why didn't they do
Right.
the test? That's the
Right.
Well,
better question.
that's where Josh took us yesterday. That's where Josh took us yesterday. And that pathway ended up in the parking lot of anger.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's enough to make you angry just thinking about it. I mean, especially for me and Josh. I mean, like I said, we were the ones that were taken by storm by this drug. I mean, so the anger, as soon as you showed me 1963 and I saw where you were going with that, that automatically enters you because you're like, for me, the first question you said, Josh said it yesterday. The first question to mine when you asked me that, I was like, well, the better question is why didn't they do it?
Right.
And so you're already angry when you figure out because, like you said, it's common sense. So when you see that they were talking about this in 1963, but they didn't do the test in full, someone like me or Josh, you're automatically already angry because you're thinking, why did they not do the proper testing way back then, 60 years ago? That's the better
Right.
question. I mean, if he came to that conclusion and here I am, today, because I didn't watch yesterday's episode, I was out. So, I didn't see what his reply was, but that's the first thing that came to my mind was why did they not do the test? That's the better question. 60
We
years ago.
we came to a conclusion on that answer yesterday, didn't we, Josh?
Oh yeah. Yes, we did. Yeah. It's only gonna get better, brother
You want
Travis.
you want to guess what we thought it was?
What's that?
Money.
Of course.
Greed.
Of course. Greed, money. I've always came back to that. It has to be that. There's no other way around it than people didn't want to mess anything up because they're making too much money. So they're going to put out all these theories and everything else and pretty much, and I hate to use the word brainwash. What's the word you always use, Dr. Smith, instead
You
of
know what?
brainwash?
You know what, Travis? I use the word the two words uh, um,
Yes, two words.
cognitive bias.
There you go. What do you say again?
Cognitive
Cognitive
bias.
bias.
Cognitive, okay, bias. Okay, yeah. So but I hate to say brainwash, but it's almost like it is. I mean, they put out all this stuff that really doesn't make sense. It doesn't back up the science, but they get everybody to follow lead with it because it keeps up with their way to make their money. And that's, I've always felt like that. I'm not trying to throw out things we can't really prove, but it all leads back to the money trail. If you really want to know what's going on, you follow the money. And I've always believed that. I mean, so and that's the only thing I can think of is money. I mean, so I agree with what you and Josh are saying. I mean, because I'm right there with you. I
So
think it has a lot to do with money.
Travis, let me ask you a question. Okay, this is where we ended up in the parking lot of anger yesterday before we even knew we were in the car. Okay,
Right.
we got to anger quicker than we realized yesterday, and I think when that happens, it probably means that anybody who has ever experienced withdrawal, when they see this study from 1963, they are going to experience anger. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense to me.
So I think one of the responsibilities that we have as a group is the requirement is upon us and the onus is upon us to let the other person know that it's okay to be angry.
It is okay to be angry. That's a part of it, especially for me. I mean, I'm a lot of the things that I'm doing here with you guys is driven by my anger towards what they've done. If I didn't have that anger, I don't think that fire would be lit behind me to do what we're doing here now. And so it's okay to be angry. We have every right to be angry. We should be angry.
Absolutely.
There's no
Yes.
reason we shouldn't be angry. I mean, look what they did to our body. Look what they did to our DNA. It could be passed down to our kids. We don't know what
Correct.
the longevity of this is going to be. We don't know what it's going to do to our bodies. We don't know anything. We only know
Right.
the little bit about it of what we know. So we should be angry. There's no reason we shouldn't be angry.
Yes.
Anger can be a destructive force.
But funneled in the right direction, it can
Exactly.
create change.
Exactly. We
Right.
need to focus that anger into the right things
Yes.
and try to make the positive outcomes that we want out of this. And we're going to make a change here. And I believe that,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
I believe that we're going to really change the world with this thing. Like, and that's my real belief. I mean, I think we're going to help stop the opioid crisis. I think we're
Right.
going to help regulate what they're doing with these opioids. I think that we're going to shut some of these big corporations down, or at least, have them, they're going to have some kind of sanctions against them or something where they can't, do this to just everybody. Like I said this a long time ago, and I really mean it. If you're not dying or have some very, very bad sickness, like, muscular sickness where you're in pain 24/7 and have to be in a wheelchair or something, or you're, something, it has to be very, very bad to where you need pain medicine or you have to need opioids. I think it should go back to that. I'm sorry. It shouldn't be, oh, well, you have back pain, a little bit of back pain, I'm going to give you 220 freaking oxycodons a month. And that might be an exaggeration, but I'm just saying, I mean, it's that easy. If you go to the pain clinic and you have an x-ray and you have a little bit of metal in your body or anything, you could have anything, any type of x-ray. I mean, you'll probably get the pain medicine. As long as you're going through that pain management center and you're paying the money and you're doing what they say, you can get it. And again, why would they still allow that when all these people are turning into they're turning to heroin and fentanyl after not being able to get pain pills anymore? They're creating this. They are creating this. They're not preventing it. They're creating it. And it's all for the sake of $1 because they've turned this into a business. They have not. This was never about helping people. This was never about giving you a quality of life. This was all about turning this into a business and creating lifelong patients. And I truly believe that. And I'm sorry for saying it like that, but that's my belief.
That's the truth. I'm behind you 100%. 100%.
Josh, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
And this is an unfair question because I didn't give you up ahead of time. So I'm not really looking for an answer today.
Okay.
So this is something worth taking some time and reflecting upon. And I'm not a theologian. What does the Bible have to say about anger? All I remember is that the Bible has something to say about vengeance. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord.
Vengeance is mine, thus saith the Lord. You're correct. And angry.
But I don't recall anything in the Bible that says do not feel anger or shun anger. I don't remember anything in the Bible that would say don't feel angry when you have been wrong.
No, it just says be ye angry and sin not. But we're not sinning. We are seeking justification. We are seeking accountability. So we're not sinning to do that. We're pointing the finger at them saying, hey, y'all done this. Y'all overlooked this. Y'all still passed this. Y'all knew the information. And then it has another word for anger is temperance. And we're supposed to have temperance, which is controlled anger. And through that controlled anger, we come up with solutions to be able to fix what makes us angry. And that is exactly what we are doing right here. Coming up with a way with the class action lawsuit, with the DNA test, with all the science behind it. I know there'll be more, but we're coming up with the way to be able to, so we don't have to walk around with that anger inside of us, because you're not a happy person if you walk around angry.
Exactly. I also want to tell you guys this. The Bible teaches us that not all anger is bad anger. The Bible has something that's called righteous anger. And what righteous anger is, that's good anger. That's anger that you're basically, like how we said we're going to channel our anger into do something good. So there is bad anger, which is what we don't want to do. But then there's something that the Bible states is called righteous anger. And that's anger that's basically in the eyes of the Lord. Like you're angry, but you're going to accomplish something good out of it. So that's the easiest way to elaborate. But there's a difference, but it definitely teaches us that not all anger is bad in the Bible. Righteous anger is okay. When it comes to God, righteous anger is okay with that. He's okay with that, because righteous anger is something that you're doing for the better good. It's something that you're doing and you're going to have a good outcome. It's basically something that you're doing out of love. It's from the bottom of your heart. It's called righteous anger. So I just wanted to add that on the talk about love in the Bible. But
exactly right.
That's all I have to say about that.
Now,
You're
Travis,
exactly right.
It's
remember,
almost like there's too much work to listen to what we have to say, that it would just change too much, and that's too big of a project for anyone to want to take on. So therefore, ignore us and hopefully we'll go away.
yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah,
going
Dr.
Yeah.
away.
You know,
It
they did this
creates too
before, though.
much work.
They did. Yeah, they did this before. Do you remember when they used to say that OxyContin was good for everybody and it would change your life and give you quality of life? And they were trying to put it in every drugstore and every this, every that. I mean, they were promoting it on the freaking TV, commercials, everything. I mean,
That's
I
it.
don't remember this, but I asked my grandfather about it, and he told me because I wasn't born until '87, but he told me that yes, they used to promote it on TV. They had commercials, radio commercials. They had everything. They were promoting it everywhere. So, it's the same scenario like when the small group was trying to tell them that it's bad for people, it's causing this, it's causing that. And eventually they had no choice but to listen to those people because look what happened.
But look how many years it is taking to turn that around, from physicians that they have cognitive bias that they have taught to, that they beat it into their head that this is a good drug. Think how
Right.
much work it has been to turn it around, and it is still not turned around.
Right.
It is still not turned around. There are still physicians out there that are prescribing loosely. Like you say, you go to the
Yeah.
emergency room, you go someplace, the first thing they want to do is to give you OxyContin. First
They
thing they
asked
want
me
to do is give
yesterday.
you an opiate.
They asked me yesterday. I said I cannot do that. I'm a recovering addict. I'm so and so years clean. I was like, I don't take the stuff. You can give me some 800 milligram ibuprofen and I'm good to go. That's exactly what I told them. And they should have known that. It's in my records. Like, I'm sitting here thinking like that's in my records. Like, and you'd still offer me that? Like, what's wrong with you? I didn't tell that to the doctor, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm sitting here thinking like, are you
Travis,
crazy?
I am going to defend that a little bit, and here's why. I am going to defend that what their actions a little bit, and here's why. Just because a person is on buprenorphine, just because a person has been genetically damaged by the opioids, does not take away their right to have pain medicine if it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah,
It
but
does.
I
That's
can't.
in their
I
standing
can't ever
orders.
take that again. Like I can
But
never put that in my
Well,
body.
But
never,
as a nurse, let me say this to you.
never say
That
never,
is in
because
their standing orders. The nurse goes in. The nurse is the one that's offering you the pain medication because it's part of the standing orders.
You don't
Yes.
understand, Dr. Smith. I'm terrified of that. I'm terrified of opioids. And you can ask Miss B. I don't know, Miss B. Do you remember this? I did my surgeries with no pain meds.
wow,
Yes, I
No
do remember
pain meds.
that.
wow.
I didn't
How
take any pain meds going in, and I didn't take any pain meds going out. I am terrified of opioids. Terrified. And I mean that. Like I will never put another opioid in my body ever again. If
But
Yeah.
I'm
Travis,
conscious,
I will,
I
I
will
will,
I will say no.
I will defend your right to have them if well, heaven forbid you ever had a kidney stone or something where you just had to have it. I would defend your right to still have your pain treated. That's enough we've said about that. Let's go back to the original conversation. And Travis, let me point out, we've only read one word
Yeah.
out of the chapter so far. We've read
Oh,
one word today.
There's a whole bunch more.
oh,
Keep
sorry
going.
about that.
No. This is good. This is
Yeah.
Okay. So
because
the next word is
what's happened here is, see, you and Josh have both gone through a process where you've exposed yourself to some of the science. And because of that, when you now look at the science, you both are having an emotional reaction to what was done to you in spite of the science. That's where we need to get the rest of the country, is right where you guys are.
And I think we can do it. I really
Yeah.
do. Like, I mean, Dr. Smith, I believe in what we're doing here. And I 100% believe, I know it's going to be hard work. I know it might take some time, but I think when this thing catches on, when people start really waking up about this and they see our videos and when we start getting more following, I really believe this is going to take off and we're going to change this. And I'm sorry, but I feel it in my heart and in my gut. And usually I'm never wrong. I mean, I just have a good feeling about this, that we're going to do what
Oh
we
yeah.
want to do. You know, we're going to take this thing down. We're going to cut the head off the snake. I mean, and you know, that's what I'm after. I know that's what Josh is after, and sir, I know that's what you want too. I mean, you know, I want all these people that are no longer here to have a voice, and that's where we come into play. And then, you know, everyone else is still struggling. I mean, you know, I want to, you know, that we're their voice as well. But I just believe in what we're doing, and I think that, you know, we're going to do it. I don't think anything's going to stop us. You know, I have faith. So,
Absolutely. Go
So,
ahead, Doctor.
Travis, just before we've only got a couple minutes left today. Let's at least get through the title. We'll get into the body of the chapter tomorrow, but let's at
okay.
least get through the title of this of this article from Sweden in 1963. And Travis,
Okay.
you see where it says catecholamines. Forget the 5-hydroxytryptamine. Go to the last part where we're talking about the morphine tolerance.
In morphine tolerance and withdrawal.
So what they're saying here, all the way back in 1963, Travis, and again, this is where Josh hones in on the common sense. Okay, and Josh got here real fast yesterday. Josh very quickly understood that withdrawal is what happens after you develop the tolerance to the opioids. And
Exactly.
Travis, that's what happened to you also. You went through
Exactly.
a process of developing a tolerance to the opioids, and then suddenly, after you had developed tolerance, when you tried to quit taking the opioids, you got sick.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
That's exactly what the title is saying right there. And then the caveat to that title is it throws in the word catecholamines. That all the
Wow.
way back to 1963, at least
So they
in my,
knew it.
they knew it.
They knew it. They knew it 60 years
So
ago.
last question, and after this, I'm gonna be quiet today. Last question, okay? And we're going back to the school of common sense.
Okay.
Okay, this is a study that was done on mice, right?
Correct.
So the question is, why do we do studies on mice? And the answer is so that we can learn without having to do the studies on humans.
Exactly.
The purpose of this study was to learn exactly what's happening in the human being.
Mm-hmm.
But in science, we use the laboratory mouse instead of the laboratory human for ethical reasons. Okay. And other than that, the science is identical. So yes, this science was done on mice back in 1963. But the point is, everything that's been found in the mice has pretty much been found in the human. There is really no difference. And that's the point of this article. And I'll hold there today. Josh, you're not going to be with us here tomorrow, right?
No, sir. I have to attend a funeral.
That's fine. And you're needed in other places.
All
Um,
right, for your law.
but Josh, if you have a
Thank
moment, you can, if you find a quote or two about anger in the Bible, when we do see you again, I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say. And
Absolutely.
Dr. B, you've got to admit, every podcast needs a deacon.
Oh, me.
You guys are too much.
You're killing them with the deacon thing, man.
Yeah, but look at it. We went to Josh for a Bible quote today, and lo and behold, he came up with it.
Oh, yeah. Y'all are all blessings. Y'all really are.
Thank you, Josh. You too.
Hi
Well,
there,
thank you
Chrissy.
so much for joining us, guys. We do appreciate it. Every Monday through Thursday, 12:30 to 1, live with Dr. B. So we'll see y'all tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Bye,
And
guys.
yes, we will definitely see you tomorrow. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.